Everybody knows about mean girls in movies. While we may not want to be them, they're definitely entertaining to watch. These types of characters have always existed in movies, but with the rise of public school attendance, the idea of the mean girl was becoming more extravagant and subsequently was at the top of the social ladder. There was soon plenty of media depictions of this. The current image of the mean girl is popular, wealthy, accompanied by a girl posse, obsessed with perfection, and dresses in a way that everyone wants to emulate. While these characters aren't role models, they still embodied whatever was in style for their time, and showed hidden meanings for their character. Since mean girls are always on top of trends, they deserve to be examined to see how the image of trendiness have evolved. Here are some famous movie mean girls that won't be mentioned in this video. No one in Clueless will be mentioned here since I don't consider anyone in this movie to be a mean girl per se. Lana in The Princess Diaries is shown in only one outfit that isn't a uniform of some kind, so there's not a lot to work with there. Sharpay Evans has the misfortune of being in a Disney Channel movie, so she's dressed in ways that is supposedly stylish rather than what is actually stylish. So now, let's get started.
God, come on, Veronica. What is your damage, Heather?
Heathers was a movie not like any others for its time. There were mean girl type characters in high school movies, but this time we see these characters from their point of view, as well as discussing some very dark subject matter. This movie is particularly notable for the outfits shown, being the desired look at the time, as well as looking very unique. The main look of the Heather trio was a high school version of a power suit, looking powerful and more mature than their peers. They display this by wearing stiff neck collars and diamond-studded earrings to school of all places. They're so amazingly extra, but only the leader can wear the color red, which is a representation of power in this movie. Heather Chandler's successor, Heather Duke, even adopts more red accents after she's finally the new leader of school. Though they have different color coordinations, all the Heathers wear the same silhouette, showing how they are unambiguously a part of an elite group. It's as if they have their own uniforms, like how Wall Street workers might have. The Wall Street type yuppie was seen as a representative of a promising future in the Reagan era, so you can infer that a group like the Heathers would try to emulate them. The 1980s businesswoman was seen a lot in pop culture, famously wearing shoulder pads and heels. But in the Heather clique, they're all wearing flats, not only for practicality, but they're also displaying their age. They're only in the stepping stones of becoming the most powerful members of society. Except Heather Duke would eventually wear heels at school because she's such a mega B. There's that I can't think clearly in flats meme, but flats are super underrated and they deserve more respect. Alongside her flats, one of Heather Chandler's more youthful pieces is her iconic red scrunchie. In the 80s, scrunchies were the must-have item for all the cool girls, and soon enough they fell right out of fashion, becoming sort of a punchline. But currently, scrunchies are back and I'm here for it. While Heather Chandler definitely fit the bill for the most famous girl in school, it seems like her actions would come back to her through karmic justice. Sometimes your popularity just can't save you. Heather's was a good showcase about how the desired look of the 80s was appearing mature and very polished. And it's interesting to see what would become the new desired look just a few years later.
Pop it, Marcy! Surprise! Oh my god.
Some critics accuse Jawbreaker of plagiarizing Heather's, but I would say that this is more of an homage, and Mean Girls would later pay homage to Jawbreaker. But anyways, this is a very dark comedy acting as a metaphor for high school friendships. There's popsicles, cameos from He Who Must Not Be Named, and pranks gone horribly wrong. So what type of clothing statements did the most popular girls make? Given that a Jawbreaker sets up the entire plot of this movie, the color palette of all the outfits resemble candy, but their silhouettes are very mature for their age. There's no possible way they would pass any dress codes. The leader of the group, Courtney, aka Satan in Heels, isn't necessarily inspired by contemporary styles, but rather was inspired by what was popular in the past. The reason for this was that the creators wanted to make a movie that would surpass time, allowing it to resonate with more viewers. A lot of her outfits are made with a very 80s shiny lycra material, and she also adopts a 1950s aesthetic, particularly the quote-unquote bad girls of the era. With this in mind, I interpret that Courtney is a character that loves getting attention, so she does this by dressing differently from everyone else, and naturally the other members of the group are going to follow her lead. I would say her most memorable outfit is the very provocative corset look she wears when she seduces he who must not be named. But the best outfit would be her iconic purple look with a 1950s neck scarf. I love this color in general, and it's super flattering on her. Courtney's prom dress most resembles 90s high fashion. It particularly reminds me of Yves Saint Laurent. It's one of the more modest outfits she wears, and given that she has her social downfall in it, maybe her trying to put up an illusion of herself isn't fooling the public. And not to mention the scene in general is really giving Carrie vibes. While Courtney is super entertaining to watch, it's still satisfying to see everyone knowing her true nature. Though most of the outfits are very unrealistic for school, Jawbreaker showcases one of the most eclectic and colorful styles in any movie. But it's definitely one of the more violent high school movies. OMG, this was an experience.
Okay, let's try it again. Only this time, I'm gonna stick my tongue in your mouth.
Okay, this movie is wild. I thought Jawbreaker was a lot, but this is so chaotic. Cruel Intentions is a hot mess that would take hours to examine, but let's stay on track. So Catherine with a Y, ooh, very old money, is a high school version of petty icon Marquise de Merteuil. Despite her young age, she is a member of the Upper East Side social elite. It's evident that Catherine wants to come across as mature and dignified, not dressing in a way that's stylish for a girl her age, but rather an adult New York socialite. Her silhouettes are form-fitting, and her preferred color palette is considerably darker than her peers. She visibly doesn't dress her age, especially when you compare Cecile's pastel color palette and Annette's simplistic good girl aesthetic. It can be inferred that Catherine's favorite color is black. The color black has typical connotations of sadness and despair, but it can also be a representative for maturity, sensualness, and evil, which is fitting for her. She is kind of evil and has a hidden sensual side, and the entire plot focuses on her and Sebastian and a little something something. In her first scene, she's wearing a corset under her modest business-type jacket and indulges in some nose candy from her rosary. Her sense of style is reminiscent of an Upper East Side woman, but it's also giving me femme fatale vibes. Even when she goes to bed, she still has on a silky nightgown. It's almost as if she wants the public to know that she isn't exactly the Marcia Brady of the Upper East Side. Her aesthetics are vastly different from Annette, who comparatively wears more white and dresses more age-appropriate. The difference in their aesthetics symbolize an angel versus demon dynamic. After all, Annette fits the image of the perfect Upper East Side girl, where Catherine can only play the illusion of that. And much like Jawbreaker, in the scene where her true self is revealed, she's dressed more demure than usual, her nose candy being her only friend left. The reason of this is like I've said before, when you do some clownery, the clown comes back to bite. And Catherine had to learn this the hard way. This movie has the same essence of Euphoria, where we're seeing high school age characters acting very age inappropriate. They're setting dangerous liaisons in high school. Like, why not set it in college? Like, it'll barely make a difference. You know, some writers are very strange, and that's all I have to say. But still, this movie is an entire messy mess to behold.
I'd stay and chat, but I don't want to stay and chat.
In the early part of her career, Megan Fox was sort of typecasted as a mean girl. Her first movie role was in the Mary-Kay and A movie, Holiday in the Sun, with that scene that is shown in a lot of aesthetic meme pages. And this also became a pretty famous sticker. Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen is essentially a Wattpad story, but it's actually a full-length movie. Carla's sense of style is a bit more on the edgy side, compared to a lot of popular girls in movies, while still having the dream closet for any high school girl in 2004. Her first appearance was her wearing a black, hopefully pleather jacket with matching pants and an of-the-time statement tee. This would be the silhouette she'd wear for most of the movie. In almost every scene she's in, she's wearing a Tiffany & Co. heart necklace, which is essentially a requirement to have if you're a popular girl in the 2000s. Tiffany & Co. is a luxury jewelry brand, so presumably, all the local upper-class girls would be sporting a Tiffany necklace to school after Christmas break. Her interest in juicy couture-type tracksuits also resembles how a real-life popular girl would actually dress. After making a custom tracksuit for Madonna in 2001, every other celebrity wanted to replicate the look, soon trickling down into the suburban mallcore demographic. but you know that Carla has about 20 of these suits in different colors. With the statement of Tiffany & Co., possibly Juicy Couture, and Burberry, she is proud to come from money and wants everyone to know about it, which is something very fittingly 2000s, given the culture's fascination with wealthy people. Her outfit at the after party is Mycene bling bling come to life. She has a sparkly tube dress with a feather boa and actually makes it work. The boa look did have a short moment of trendiness, but quickly fell out for obvious reasons. But in this case, the boa is what makes her outfit pop. Even in all black, she still stands out. But I'm not exactly sure how a high school student was able to get into a party like this. Her whole aesthetic embodies trendiness and desirability for the era, always looking impeccably polished. And this is all to contrast Lola's eccentric thrift store / DIY personal style. She stands out from the prim and proper suburban crowd. I'm not sure what Carla would be doing today, but I know she'd still look flawless. But hopefully with a non-weed smelling boyfriend.
I can't go out. I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
Okay, this is a big one. When people think of a mean popular girl character, they think of Regina George, or at least the image of her. Blonde, wealthy, and the local influencer. She's the most popular girl in school. In fact, the name Regina translates to queen in Latin. I would say that Mean Girls is the best representative of the Y2K aesthetic, and was the most mainstream Barbie-core movie before an actual Barbie movie would come out. What you look like is a vital aspect of the plastics. In fact, the rules for sitting together involve whatever one is wearing. This is because all members have to be considerate for the rest of the group, meaning that they better look like they are of a certain prestige. Similarly to Carla in Confessions, Regina symbolizes 2000s show-off culture. So much so that everyone takes inspiration from her. Regina's personal style is preppy to a T. She's usually shown in some variation of collared shirts, cardigans, and pleated skirts. But she does have a slight edginess to her look. In her most iconic outfit, she's in a black pleather mini, indicating her dark side. Presumably popularized by Abercrombie & Fitch, the New England preppy look was officially mainstream. Kids all across the US wanted to look like they came from old money, which Regina probably does come from. Another way that she shows off her wealth is by sporting her R necklace, signature hoop earrings, and having a small collection of designer purses. She knows that by flaunting her wealth, she can instill respect and fear amongst the public. If the symbol of power in Heathers were red, pink symbolizes social power in this movie. With pink embodying sweetness and femininity, the plastics have cultivated an image of perfected girliness. Regina's image of girly perfection is so well crafted that even when she's alone in her room, she still looks like a queen bee, having her trademark R on her lounge top. Not a lot of people acknowledge it, but she added butterfly clips to the straps. I think it's super fun, and it's now something that I occasionally do. While the 2000s does get a pretty bad rap fashion-wise, the looks in these movies have aged incredibly well. In fact, they're still trendy. Mean Girls is now fully accepted as an iconic comedy movie, mostly due to how quotable it is. People can essentially repeat the entire script. Mean Girls heavily inspired Ariana Grande's Thank You Next video, and there's about 1 million trailer parodies on YouTube. I remember being obsessed with that Mean Disney Girls video. The ending infers that Regina would become a different person, and maybe high school would be just a little bit more peaceful. But in reality, some things never change.
What can I get here that has no sugar, no carbs, and is fat-free? Water.
A Cinderella Story is a movie that followed the trend of tasteful high school movies. It got mostly negative reviews at the time, but now is sort of a classic. Shelby is a pretty flat character that doesn't get much character growth, but at least she has a great sense of style. Her main look is 2000s prep. She has an affinity for small bags, feminine prints, and pleated skirts. From her disdain of being gifted a Frada bag for her birthday, this can infer that she comes from wealth, and naturally that's where her popularity stems from. Shelby's style is pretty similar to Regina George, but she seemingly likes the color pink even more than Regina does. She's frequently seen in a soft color palette, and aside from her cheerleading uniform, every scene she's in has her wearing something in pastel pink, as well as accents of white. Her silhouettes are accompanied by youthful and almost innocent patterns, which is greatly contrasted by her cruel and vain personality. Where Catherine Mertille's way of manipulation is by appearing more mature and respectable, Shelby can manipulate through appearing as the idealistic girly girl. And I guess this even fools Sam's friend Carter. At the beginning of this movie, Sam's friend Carter has a huge crush on Shelby, despite the fact that she's constantly mean to him. Like, why does he even like her? But in the end, he ends up with the cool DJ girl, so good for him. Overall, there's not much to say about her other than that she displays perfected mall core. Again, her looks are still stylish today, but her good sense of fashion might be her only redeeming quality. Now, I'm not caping for Shelby as a character, but I think it's total and complete nonsense that a wedding dress won over her group Angel costume. Sam's Cinderella costume is also legendary, but Shelby and her friends just have a show-stopping presence. They look super flawless, and this costume shows how culturally impactful the Victoria's Secret angels were. And then she says this.
Love her dress. Hate her.
This movie is regularly used as an example of how girly girls in the media are often shown as villainous. In fact, their girliness are often an indication of their shallowness, especially when the protagonist is praised for not being like the other girls. But at the same time, it's still socially expected for women to be stereotypically feminine. It's an entire complicated subject. But I will say that Austin Ames is just not a good love interest. And on top of that, people were acting weird behind the scenes, but anyways, let's move on.
Who needs Raymond? I found 2 new men to love. Their names are Ben and Jerry.
Aquamarine is a movie that is about as mermaid core as a movie can get, aside from the other ones. It's a summer staple that makes me desperately want to go to the beach, despite the fact that Cali beaches feels like you're diving in ice water. The main villain, Cecilia, of course, comes from one of the wealthiest families in town, and has an accompanying girl posse, who aren't just silent minions. They occasionally have some funny lines.
You're never gonna get a tan wearing all those clothes. Or skin cancer. Please, we don't even smoke.
Considering this movie takes place in the summer near a beach, her outfits shown are considerably more casual and laid back than what we usually see in school settings. We had plenty of East Coast, upper-class girl representation, but now we're starting to see what a wealthy popular girl would wear when it's constantly unbearably hot outside. In the 2000s, there was an increase of natural-looking, but still polished, warm-weather friendly styles. Cecilia's looks are also a reflection of the boho aesthetic of the mid-2000s, particularly with her jewelry and using scarves as headbands. As a response to the overtly flashy McBling and Y2K aesthetic, more simplistic styles were becoming trendy with the boho look. And in a beach town, I can presume that looking like you're not trying too hard can be more beneficial. Her use of color is fittingly aquatic with bright hues reminiscent of the ocean and tropical flowers. Alongside the other members of the Mean Girl group, their outfits work cohesively together. You can tell they made sure that their hues never clash. One instance of her wearing white is at the party. It could be interpreted that she's intimidated by Aquamarine's presence, and wants to appear more demure and endearing. After all, there can only be one Queen Bee. Both Cecilia and Aquamarine embodies what would later be known as the coconut girl aesthetic, sporting laid-back, beach-ready outfits while still being fashionable. It doesn't get talked about too much, but this movie has a message of the importance of friendships and finding confidence in yourself. It's so underrated in that aspect. And the love interest guy is genuinely a good guy. Compared to Austin Ames, he's a much better love interest. Healthy relationships in a 2000s teen movie? Like, what is going on? But since summer is just frighteningly around the corner, this movie is good to put you in the seasonal mood as it's 1,000,000 degrees outside.
Gummy feet?
Thanks, but I don't eat sugar.
And I don't eat feet.
The Clique is one of the most controversial young adult book series ever written. It took everything terrifying about middle school and added the dynamics of class differences. Despite the disapproval from parents, the series was a huge hit, so naturally, a movie was made based on it. The girls from the Clique come from money, and we mean old money, New England, 20-bedroom home with a private horse riding trail type of money. Were Mac computers rare in 2008? Cause I don't know. This is very much a 2008 movie, not only represented by the fashions, but by references to the culture of the time. All the girls have MySpace accounts, Dylan comments that celebrities are constantly getting DUIs, and Massey seems to be a fan of the hills. The looks in this movie are very reminiscent of Gossip Girl. Both exhibit style of the late 2000s, where fashion was starting to look more mature and less colorful. Massey's first outfit shows her in a look that I'm guessing she doesn't like. I'm not sure why she does this. She either subconsciously wants Claire to feel less intimidated in a new environment, or she didn't want to appear stylish so that Claire wouldn't be interested in being friends with her and would just lay off. I might have really bad taste, but I think this outfit is super cute. The first day after winter break shows Massey's most famous outfit. A white beret with a white coat with matching tights, clutch, and black and white heels, along with some black and red accents. I would interpret that since she didn't go to the party of the year, she has to make up for it by looking incredibly lavish and grown up, as if she's too cool to go to a grade school party. And it turns out the party was totally unbloggable without her. If this were any more 2000s, it would explode. She'd continue wearing her trademark expensive high fashion looks. But I don't know what was going on with Massey's last outfit. It could be that she's just so excited to tell her crush that she likes him, she's a bit more distracted than usual. But the scene is important because Claire saves Massey from totally embarrassing herself in front of him. Honestly, if I were Claire, I would just mind my business and let Massey act a fool. Claire, you should have let Massey suffer the consequences for her actions. And be a little bit petty. There's not too many movies that examine the very strange world of middle school. And while most of this movie isn't very realistic, some parts of it are painfully close to life. And when you see this on YouTube Movies, who wrote this description? This is sending me.
How could you guys not tell me this whole time that I was your duff? Or what?
I'm not really sure why this movie needed a mean girl character. I don't really remember her doing anything in particular. Honestly, the love interest guy feels more like the mean girl, but whatever. The Duff is a movie based on a Wattpad story about high school insecurity, and popular girl Madison certainly doesn't help with that. Her first appearance shows her in black skinny jeans, a white crop top with a bralette peeking out, and a black, cropped, hopefully pleather jacket. It's the quintessential, partially edgy look that was huge in the 2010s. It's a look that merely winks at the grunge revival. Her frequent silhouettes are tight-fitting, but her color palette is neutral and muted. She's wearing either black, white, or gray. This could be interpreted that Madison has the confidence, knowing that she looks good without using flashy colors by her side, and to allow her fiery red hair to stand out even more. Or that she cares about how she looks, but doesn't care too much for ultimate cool girl points, in the manner of Gone Girl. This movie reflects on how in the mid-2010s, fashion was becoming simpler in comparison to the 2000s. This would be another example of the 20-year rule. 2010s fashion was basically an updated version of 90s fashion, where simple muted colors were also trendy. I personally wasn't a huge fan of this. I remember just feeling sort of bored while scrolling through Instagram and Pinterest, but Tumblr was still pretty cool. I know that people complain about 2020 styles, but I do not miss the 2010s. Everything Madison wears looks like it could be found in Forever 21, the store that people used to care about. Fast fashion stores like Forever 21 was all the rage, not without falling into some textile controversy. When comparing Madison's clothing to mean girl characters of the past, I noticed that her clothing appears more flimsy, for a lack of a better word. In the 2010s, it was noted that clothing just wasn't as good in quality as it was in the past, mostly due to fashion brands cutting production costs by using cheaper materials, and questionable work practices and plagiarism, but that's a whole other topic. Things would only get worse in the Sheen era, which I think is about to run its course. I can't say that The Duff is a bad movie, but with the plot focusing so much on looks, it sort of has a sleazy vibe to it. But it is realistic in the sense that in high school, people feel an immense amount of pressure to look a certain way. This movie tries to subvert it with a last-minute message at the end, but still, it's not the best.
Peaking in high school is cringe anyway.
Do Revenge is an interesting movie because the popular mean girl is actually the protagonist. The plot follows a disgraced, formerly popular girl and a social outcast avenging each other's enemy. Think Strangers on the Train, but in high school and slightly less gruesome. Unlike a lot of popular girls in movies, Drea doesn't come from wealth, while going to a wealthy private school. She knows that she has to make her way to the elite group by presenting as polished as the other kids. And even when she has fallen from social grace, she still wants to look as presentable as possible. This works with Drea's personality, cunning and sort of evil, but then again, if you got curved by some wannabe deep fool, you'd get mad too. Drea shows varying silhouettes with frequent unique materials, patterns, and saturated colors. We can see that she likes to stand out with her Y2K revival looks, while also matching the Miami setting with her bold colors. Some of Drea's outfits seem pretty warm for the environment, but it could be said that her character is willing to take aesthetics over comfort. She's doing a revenge plot, she means business. But when the time is appropriate, she also has fun with more preppy styles. She has the privilege of wearing probably the cutest school uniform I've seen in a movie. A violet look with an accented bow, headband, and matching nail polish. And sometimes her uniform is green, and then her nails turn green. Even her tumbler matches her outfit. She's just extra like that. I particularly like the cloak she has on. It's sort of giving Maleficent vibes, as if she knows she's villainous and is proud of it. But seriously, I give the school board 1,000,000 points for the pastels alone. The uniforms I had to wear were so boring, so I'm super jealous. Aside from the uniforms, I would say that the best outfit in this movie is the 2000s inspired yellow feathery outfit with a pleated skirt, heart earrings, and sparkly headband. Drea is very brave to wear pleather in the South Florida heat, but she wanted to give Cheetah Girls and Bratz doll vibes, and she went for it. This movie came out in 2021, and it is refreshing to see a new movie that has such well put together outfits and nice color harmony.
Oh, well, actually, there's this one guy in my calculus class.
Ooh, a senior. Who is it?
Aaron Samuels.
You can't like Aaron Samuels. That is Regina's ex-boyfriend.
Just a couple months ago, we had the most famous musical that was too shy about being a musical, the Mean Girls remake. But this is based off the Broadway show instead of the original movie. And the costuming there was just sort of passable. We're already off to a great start. When the first photos of the plastics came out, there was a mostly negative response from fans. In the 2004 movie, the girls really had the dream closets. They truly reflected the in-crowd look, where in this version, the outfits aren't even mall-core, but instead fast fashion core. So what went wrong? In Regina's first scene, she sings, "My name's Regina George," in an all-black, better be pleather outfit, and of course with the iconic R necklace. Since this is her introductory look, it does say quite a bit about her character. She's tomboyish, edgy, and wants to stand out. Regina George wearing an all-black look with combat boots nonetheless feels sort of confusing, especially since the outfit itself just doesn't look that good. She more looks like someone trying to be a villain instead of just actually being a villain. And a lot of the looks are just slightly out of date. I know it's hard to keep up with micro trends, but a lot of this stuff is giving 2017 vibes. But worst of all, there's the mandatory pink look where the shades of pink don't even match each other. It just looks messy. I guess the baggy look and the clashing colors could say that Regina is too cool to care about what she wears, but in the social media age where you're expected to slay at the grocery store, I don't see this girl being popular and envied like the original Regina was. I don't want to repeat too much about what other people are saying about these looks, but yeah, I'm just not feeling it. It's as if the costume designers didn't really know what was stylish, so they just had to guess. Personally, I would have styled Gretchen in a quiet luxury preppy style. I can see Karen getting into a coquette look. And Regina would 100% have a clean girl or that girl aesthetic, especially if there's a scene where she's in luxury yoga clothing. It better fits their characters, and do resemble how the in-crowd girls dress today. I would say that Janice has the best updated look. Her aesthetic fits her character, and at the same time is pretty on trend, which kind of contradicts the thesis of her character, but whatever. But on a positive note, Karen's song Sexy is a must-have for any workout playlist, and the costuming here is still way better than the grandma core looks in the sequel that I don't claim as canon. It's interesting that nobody likes Mean Girls in real life, but in movies, they're so intriguing to watch. It's the villain complex that fiction has in general. Maybe through escapism, we can examine the dark sides of ourselves. But in everyday life, follow the philosophy of Amina from America's Next Top Model. Keep it cute or put it on mute. And that's all I have for fictional Mean Girl styles. What is a fictional movie Mean Girl that you love to hate and hate to love? Thank you all for watching to the end, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!